Back with a Fox News alert for you. Iran now denying that a U.S. warship brought down one of its drones in the Strait of Hormuz. So what does this mean in the political chess match to avoid war as tensions escalate? Well, let's ask Vice President for Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation, James Carafano. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So what's your response to this latest news coming out this morning that Iran is denying this happened? We can pull up their latest tweet as you respond to it.
Right. So, I don't have classified intelligence, so you just have to look at what we know. And so we know that this is a very common Iranian activity for their drones to buzz U.S. Navy ships. That's been increasing over the last 2 years. We also know that the ships are going to protect themselves. If you remember back to the USS Boxer, which was sitting in port and it was attacked in Yemen, or to the U.S. naval personnel that were taken hostage by the Iranians. So if a craft comes close to the United States, it's going to defend itself. It certainly has the capability to do that. Very unlikely they would mistake it for something else. So,
could it have been mistaken for one of our own? Because that's also what they're trying to claim. And what we in fact did was like use some sort of jamming device anyway. But they're saying they're worried that we actually shot down one of our own.
Yeah, so here's the scenario then. So we shoot down our own drone, and then we call the President of the United States, and we tell them that we shot down an Iranian drone. Yeah, that's what a Navy officer is going to do. So yeah, that probably happened. Now, so why would the Iranians deny that ever happened? Well, the simple logical answer is they're really not interested in escalating the conflict. And in that part of the region, you always want to look tough. So if somebody shoots down your drone, you just deny you had one, so that way you don't have to hit the guy back.
Yeah, you think they're not interested in escalating the situation when they've had so many incidents over the past month or so where they have, we have these oil tankers, just what, 2 within the past couple days?
Yeah. So the way I look at it is if you look at all this activity, it's all activity of a kind, right? So it's not like we're climbing the escalation ladder and we're doing ever more aggressive acts. They're kind of doing the same thing, which is kind of typical Iranian behavior, which is we want to look tough because we don't want to appear to be a pushover, but they're not really interested in war with the United States. So
Iran's leaders, you wrote this op-ed, you say that they expect that President Trump will be reelected, which could prompt them to make a new deal. How would that happen?
Right. So I wrote this in Fox News because one of the things we look at is if the Iranians, look, they're not going to deal with Trump now. They might have secret talks and back channels and stuff. But if Trump got reelected and they had to go to the table, the Iranians would want something to go to the table with. And they don't have a lot of cards to play. So by enriching that, then later that's enriching uranium, that's something they can negotiate with. By being aggressive in the Gulf and trying to interfere with shipping, that's something to negotiate away. So it kind of looks like they're just stacking up cards, so later they have something to play when they go back to the table.
Yeah, so you don't think that they're telling the truth when they say they are not willing to go back to the table unless sanctions are lifted?
I believe that they would like that. But I think the likelihood of the U.S. lifting sanctions before negotiations begin are zero. Remember, Iran and North Korea are 2 parts of the same debate, right? When we do something with the North Koreans, the Iranians look at that. So if we lifted sanctions for the Iranians, well, then the North Koreans would want sanctions lifted. So you have to be proportional to both. And if we're going to play tough with the North Korea, we're going to play tough with Iran.
But then what do we do in terms of the Iran deal so that we don't end up with the same thing that President Obama had on the table, which President Trump obviously pulled us out of because they weren't following, amongst other things?
Well, the Iranians, interestingly, offered one potential path forward, which they said, you know what, maybe we could go back to the Iran deal with some additional protocols. And so if there were some protocols on ballistic missiles and on some of the other activities, some of the 12 things that Pompeo laid out in his requirement for what we would need for a deal, maybe we wouldn't have to rewrite a whole new deal. That's a possibility.
Okay. All right. James Carafano joining us. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.